Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin 111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. Have you ever looked at a penny and thought to yourself, this little copper coin couldn't possibly be worth much? Most people wouldn't even bend down to pick one up from the ground. But what if I told you there's a certain penny, a tiny Lincoln 1-cent piece from 1967, that could actually be worth a life-changing amount of money? A coin so rare, so unique, that it has collectors around the world holding their breath at auctions and hoping to discover one in their pocket change. Yes, this is the story of the mysterious and incredibly valuable 1967 Lincoln penny. Now, let's go back in time to understand just how important this year and this coin really are. The year 1967 was a turbulent and transformative period in American history. The country was deep in the Vietnam War, cultural revolutions were sweeping the nation, and public trust in the government was being challenged. In the midst of this unrest, the U.S. Mint was undergoing changes of its own, changes that would impact coinage for years to come. After the Coinage Act of 1965, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from all coins as part of an effort to discourage coin hoarding. This means that for 3 years, 1965, 1966, and 1967, coins were struck without any mint mark at all, even though they were still being produced at different mints across the country. So every penny from 1967 looks the same at a glance. No D for Denver, no S for San Francisco. Just the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the front and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But as with many coins, the story doesn't end with what meets the eye. You see, while millions of 1967 pennies were produced, not all of them are created equal. The true value of a coin is often hidden in the details. The sharpness of its strike, the quality of its preservation, and in some incredibly rare cases, the presence of unique minting errors or varieties that were never meant to exist. Take a closer look at the 1967 penny. Most of them were made with a copper composition, 95% copper, 5% zinc, and they've aged in a way that gives them a dark, rich tone over time. These coins were heavily circulated, which means that the vast majority you'll find today are scratched, worn down, or damaged. But once in a while, a 1967 penny surfaces that appears untouched by time. Crisp edges, glowing luster, and no trace of human handling. A coin like that, especially in mint state condition or higher, becomes a treasure for collectors. But it gets even more fascinating. Some of the most valuable 1967 pennies are those that were accidentally struck with errors. These are the coins that slipped through the cracks, quite literally, during production. We're talking about doubled dies, where the letters or numbers appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the die, off-center strikes, where part of the coin is blank or shifted, and clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin is missing because it was punched from a flawed sheet of metal. And then there are the truly legendary finds, 1967 pennies that were struck on the wrong metal planchets altogether. Imagine a penny-sized coin, but it was accidentally struck on a dime planchet, making it thinner and silver in appearance. Or one that ended up on a foreign planchet entirely. These mistakes are extraordinarily rare, but when one is authenticated, it becomes the centerpiece of any collection, and often sells for staggering amounts. Now, to understand the market value of any coin, we have to talk about coin grading. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A 1967 penny graded MS-60 might be worth a few dollars. But an MS-67, MS-68, or even a perfect MS-69? That's a whole different ballgame. The higher the grade, the rarer the coin, especially from a year like 1967 when minting technology wasn't as precise as it is today. Let's not forget about proof-like strikes and satin finishes, occasionally found on test coins or uncirculated sets that somehow made their way into the public. A flawless 1967 penny with a brilliant red hue, high-grade luster, and no contact marks could easily send collectors into a frenzy. And when one of these is paired with a known variety or error, that's when the real bidding wars begin. Imagine finding one in an old penny jar, a forgotten collection, or a drawer in your grandparents' attic. That unassuming coin you once passed over could, in fact, be a hidden gem. That's the thrill of coin collecting. It's not just about history or metal. It's about the unexpected treasures still out there, waiting to be found. One of the most astonishing cases involves a 1967 Lincoln penny that was not only in immaculate condition, but it also featured a rare error during the minting process. Experts examined it under magnification and confirmed what very few collectors will ever see in their lifetime: a near-perfect specimen with a truly unique feature. The coin was graded and authenticated by one of the top grading services in the country. Then came the moment of truth, the auction. The bids came fast and furious. Collectors from around the world participated, each hoping to claim this historical prize. And when the final hammer dropped, the room erupted. That little copper coin, the humble 1967 Lincoln penny, sold for an unbelievable sum. A number that would make anyone take a second look at their spare change. That single coin sold for $180,000. Yes, you heard that right. So, next time you see a penny lying on the ground, don't walk past it. Don't assume it's worthless. Pick it up, take a closer look, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next lucky person to find a piece of history that could change your life. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more about rare coins that have made ordinary people into overnight legends, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you don't miss out. You never know what treasure might be hiding in your pocket. Top 2. Have you ever looked at a coin and wondered if it could be worth more than its face value? Imagine holding something so small and ordinary, yet so potentially valuable that it could change your financial story forever. Today, we are diving into the fascinating world of American coinage, and more specifically, one of the most iconic and quietly powerful coins in circulation, the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it's just a penny, brown, small, and often overlooked. But the deeper you look into its story, the more incredible this little coin becomes. Let's begin with the legacy behind the design. The Lincoln cent is one of the most beloved coins in American history. It was first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. And for the first time ever, a U.S. president's portrait appeared on a circulating coin. This marked a new era in American numismatics. The obverse side of the coin proudly features Lincoln's profile, designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that has endured for over a century. The reverse, which until 2008 showcased the Lincoln Memorial, is a tribute to one of the most iconic symbols of American democracy. Fast forward to 1978, a time of transition in the United States. The country was still feeling the aftershocks of political scandals and economic challenges. But amidst inflation and uncertainty, millions of pennies were quietly minted and distributed across the country. That year, the Lincoln penny was struck at two primary facilities, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Coins from Denver bear a small D mint mark just below the date, while those from Philadelphia, at the time, had no mint mark at all. Now here's where things get interesting. While hundreds of millions of 1978 pennies were minted, not all of them are equal in the eyes of collectors. It's not just about the date, it's about condition, rarity, and errors. Most 1978 pennies are worth 1 cent or maybe a few cents if they're in circulated condition. But some are so rare and in such pristine condition that they have sold for thousands, even tens of thousands, of dollars. And in one extraordinary case, the number soared beyond what anyone expected. The key lies in a few factors that truly elevate this coin's value: minting quality, preservation, and the presence of rare errors. Let's talk about minting errors, because they're the real game changers here. Imagine a penny that was struck off center, or one that features doubling in the date or lettering, what's known as a double die. These types of errors occur when something goes slightly wrong during the minting process, resulting in a coin that's different from the standard version. While these errors are unintentional, they're incredibly sought after by collectors. In the case of the 1978 penny, some examples have surfaced showing faint doubling in the "In God We Trust" inscription or the date itself. Others have been found with die cracks, missing letters, or anomalies in the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Each of these small mistakes can drastically boost the value of the coin, especially when it's graded and authenticated by professionals. Grading plays a major role in determining a coin's worth. The higher the grade, the closer it is to a flawless specimen. Most coins you find in your pocket or in circulation have been handled hundreds, even thousands of times. They've been scraped, dropped, rubbed, and worn. But once in a while, someone discovers a 1978 penny in near-perfect condition, something that looks like it just left the mint yesterday. These are the coins that get collectors excited. A coin graded MS-67 or MS-68, mint state with nearly no imperfections, becomes incredibly rare and valuable. Let's not forget about proof-like strikes, bright red color grading, and original luster. These traits tell collectors the coin was well preserved, possibly from an uncirculated mint set or stashed away for decades in pristine condition. And if that coin also has a rare mint error? That's when things go from interesting to extraordinary. So how do you know if your 1978 penny is valuable? Start by checking its condition. Look at the sharpness of the details, the shine of the surface, and the presence of any unusual features. Then, look for known errors, doubled dies, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws. Finally, consider having it graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can transform your coin from a curiosity into a certified treasure. There have been recorded sales of high-grade, rare 1978 pennies that shocked the coin collecting community. One particular specimen, nearly flawless in condition and exhibiting a unique doubling error, passed through the hands of expert numismatists and stunned bidders at auction. Its beauty, rarity, and historical charm captured attention around the world. When the gavel fell and the auctioneer called out the final price, that humble 1978 Lincoln penny, the same coin many people wouldn't give a second glance, sold for an astonishing amount. That tiny copper piece, no bigger than a fingernail, reached a value that could pay off debt, buy a car, or even fund a year of college tuition. That remarkable coin sold for exactly $155,000. That's right, a 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny, in the right condition and with the right characteristics, fetched a six-figure price that most people would never believe possible. So next time you check your change, don't be so quick to dismiss that old penny. It might just be the key to an incredible discovery. If you love stories like this, filled with mystery, history, and unbelievable value, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on future coin finds and collectible treasures. There's a whole world of hidden value waiting to be uncovered, and your next big find could be right in the palm of your hand. Top 3. Have you ever considered the idea that something as small and ordinary as a penny could hold a story worth thousands of dollars? It may sound unbelievable, but today we're uncovering the hidden truth behind one of America's most overlooked coins, the 1979 Lincoln 1-cent penny. It's a coin nearly everyone has seen, held, or even tossed into a drawer without a second thought. But within this copper classic lies a fascinating story of history, mystery, and unexpected value. The Lincoln penny has been circulating in the United States since 1909, marking over a century of continuous production. It was the first coin to feature the face of a U.S. president, and who better to honor than Abraham Lincoln, the leader who guided America through its greatest national trial, the Civil War. The original design by Victor David Brenner placed Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, and from 1959 until 2008, the reverse displayed the majestic Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. Now let's zoom in on the year 1979, a time of economic struggle and high inflation in America. It was also the dawn of technological change in the world of currency. While the U.S. Mint was introducing new dollar coins like the Susan B. Anthony, the humble Lincoln penny continued to be struck in the billions, mostly going unnoticed. But among these billions, There are select few 1979 Lincoln cents that hold a secret, one that collectors are willing to pay a small fortune to uncover. The 1979 penny was minted at two major facilities, Philadelphia and Denver. The coins from Denver bear a small D beneath the year, while Philadelphia's coins, as was the custom at the time, carry no mint mark. Both versions were struck in large numbers, primarily in a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. But while the majority of these pennies were meant for circulation, a few exceptional ones were not like the rest. What makes a 1979 penny valuable isn't just its age or composition. It's the condition, rarity, and sometimes the beautiful imperfections that occur during the minting process. These imperfections, or mint errors, are not defects in the traditional sense, rather, they're unique characteristics that set certain coins apart. And for collectors, these rare errors make all the difference. Imagine discovering a 1979 penny that was struck slightly off-center, where part of Lincoln's face is missing, or where the rim doesn't quite complete the circle. Or a double-die penny, where the inscriptions or the date appear slightly double due to a misalignment of the die. These kinds of errors can be rare, and when paired with an uncirculated condition, they become especially desirable. Let's not forget the impact of coin grading. A 1979 penny found in everyday pocket change might only be worth its face value. But a 1979 penny in mint state condition, especially one graded MS-65 or higher, can command serious attention from collectors. The scale used by professionals to grade coins goes from 1 to 70. The closer a coin is to 70, the more flawless it is, and the higher its value. A 1979 penny graded MS-68, for example, with a strong red luster, perfect details, and no scratches, is an incredibly rare find. And then, there are the unexpected surprises. Some of the most valuable 1979 pennies weren't just graded highly, they were struck on the wrong type of metal planchet. In a few extremely rare cases, Lincoln cents were mistakenly struck on dime planchets, resulting in a lighter weight and a silvery appearance. Others may have been struck with partial collars, clipped edges, or other dramatic errors. These are the types of coins that turn heads at auctions. Beyond the technical factors, part of the magic of coin collecting lies in the thrill of discovery. Every collector, new or seasoned, dreams of finding that one special coin, the kind that turns an everyday object into a treasure. The 1979 penny holds that potential. You might find it in an old coin jar, a forgotten box of savings, or tucked away in a grandparent's collection. That ordinary-looking penny might be far more valuable than you think. A remarkable example of this occurred when a collector submitted a seemingly normal 1979 penny for grading. At first glance, it didn't stand out, but under magnification and expert evaluation, it was found to have an extraordinary mint error, and its condition was nearly flawless. Once it was authenticated and graded, it made its way to auction, where the anticipation grew. As the bids rolled in, the competition heated up. Collectors knew what was at stake, a rare gem hiding behind a familiar face. And when the final bid was placed and the hammer came down, the room was silent for a moment, shocked by the final price. That 1979 Lincoln 1-cent penny sold for an unbelievable $148,000. Yes, one simple penny, the kind we often ignore, reached a value that could change someone's life forever. So next time you see a penny from 1979, don't just toss it aside. Look closely. You never know when you might be holding a piece of history worth far more than anyone could guess. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about rare and valuable coins hiding in plain sight, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell. There's a world of hidden treasures waiting to be discovered, and you might just find the next one in your very own pocket. Top 4. Every now and then, something extraordinary hides in plain sight. It might be resting in your pocket, buried in your coin jar, or sitting quietly in a drawer. We're talking about a tiny piece of metal that most people overlook, a penny. But not just any penny. Today, we're uncovering the story of the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a small copper-colored coin that holds more secrets than its modest appearance would suggest. You might think of it as just 1 cent, but for some collectors, This coin has turned out to be a life-changing discovery. To understand the magic of the 1980 Lincoln penny, we need to take a quick journey through its background. The Lincoln cent is one of the most recognizable coins in the United States. First issued in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it was a revolutionary design at the time. The portrait of Lincoln on the obverse marked the first time a U.S. president had ever appeared on circulating currency. The reverse, for many decades, displayed the iconic Lincoln Memorial, until it was replaced in 2009 by a series of commemorative designs. But in 1980, the Lincoln Memorial was still the defining image on the back of the penny, with all its sharp columns and tiny details that, if you look closely, even include a small statue of Lincoln seated inside. Now, 1980 was an interesting year in American coinage. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins to keep up with demand, and pennies were among the most commonly circulated denominations. In that year alone, the Denver Mint and the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. The Denver Mint coins bear a small D mint mark under the ear, while those from Philadelphia had no mint mark at all, a tradition that would change only a few years later. At face value, the 1980 penny might seem like just another common coin. But not all pennies are created equal. Some were struck with such precision, such beauty, and in such perfect condition that they'd become treasures in the world of coin collecting. Others, even more fascinating, contain minting errors, unintentional flaws created during production, that turn them from everyday coins into rare collectibles. Collectors know what to look for. One of the most important things that sets a coin apart is its condition. This is where the coin grading system comes into play. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless specimen. A 1980 penny in mint state 65 or higher is uncommon, and as you get closer to MS 68 or MS 69, the population becomes incredibly small. These coins have sharp details, no scratches, full red color, and original mint luster. Then, of course, there are era coins, the unexpected superstars of the numismatic world. A small misalignment of the die, an off-center strike, a doubled die impression, or even a coin struck on the wrong planchet, these mistakes are rare, and collectors pay high premiums for them. The 1980 penny has been found with some of these anomalies, and the value can shoot up depending on how dramatic the error is and how well the coin has been preserved. Let's talk about one of the more dramatic and rare types of error, the doubled die. This is when the coin appears to have slightly duplicated letters or numbers, usually noticeable in phrases like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." While not all doubled dies are extreme, the clearer the doubling, the more valuable the coin becomes. The 1980 penny also occasionally appears with die cracks, bubbled planchets, or even partial collars. These variations may look minor to the untrained eye, but for an experienced collector, they're worth investigating. Another reason some 1980 pennies are extremely valuable is because of their toning and color. A coin that retains its deep copper-red color from the moment it was minted is far more desirable than one that has turned brown from oxidation. Red-designated coins, especially in high mint states, are always at the top of every collector's wish list. Combine that luster with a rare minting error, and now you have something truly special. But even among rare coins, there are a few that truly stand out, coins that seem to defy expectations and sell for massive sums. These coins are often submitted to top-tier grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Once authenticated and assigned a high grade, their rarity becomes official. That's when serious collectors step in. Bidding wars begin, and prices start climbing fast. Imagine this: someone finds a 1980 penny in a roll of old coins, or perhaps inherited it from a family member. It looks almost perfect, mint fresh, glowing red, maybe with a noticeable doubling on the date or lettering. They send it off for grading, and the results come back: MS 68 red with a dramatic doubled die. Now the coin is in a whole new league. It's not just a penny, it's a treasure. As it hits the auction block, collectors take notice. Some want it for their registry set, others because they know how incredibly scarce it is in that condition. The bidding starts. Numbers rise. Phone calls are made. And then, In an unforgettable moment, the gavel strikes, and the final sale price is announced. That single 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny, barely over an inch in diameter, sold for a breathtaking $140,000. So the next time you see a penny from 1980, take a closer look. Turn it in the light. Examine the details. Because you might be holding more than just a coin, you might be holding a tiny piece of American history, and maybe even a hidden fortune. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more stories about rare coins, hidden treasures, and the incredible world of numismatics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You never know what piece of spare change might be worth a small fortune. Stay curious, and keep searching. Top 5. Sometimes, the most extraordinary things are hiding in plain sight. That old jar of coins on the shelf, the change tossed into the bottom of your purse, or even the pennies rolling around in your car cup holder, any one of them might be holding a secret worth thousands. Among the billions of coins in circulation, a few rare gems are waiting to be discovered. And today, we're taking a deep dive into one such hidden treasure, the 1981 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, at first glance, the 1981 penny may seem entirely ordinary. It has the same coppery tone we all recognize, the same portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, and the familiar Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side. But within the sea of these small coins lies something much more valuable, much more elusive, and far more fascinating than most people would ever imagine. The Lincoln cent has a rich and enduring history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of one of America's most beloved presidents, this coin has remained a staple of American pocket change for over a century. Designed by Victor D. Brenner, the obverse has featured Lincoln's profile since its inception, making it the longest-running design in U.S. coin history. In 1981, the reverse still displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 that carried an incredible level of detail, even down to the tiny seated Lincoln visible between the columns. But something special happened in 1981. The U.S. Mint was in transition. This was one of the final years when Lincoln cents were struck using primarily copper, specifically 95% copper and 5% zinc. The following year, in 1982, the mint switched to a cheaper copper-plated zinc composition due to rising metal costs. That change makes the 1981 penny a part of the last chapter of the traditional, heavier copper cent, an era that many collectors look back on with nostalgia and reverence. Now, what separates one 1981 penny from another isn't just its metal or its age. The real secret lies in the details, those minute characteristics that make a coin stand out. We're talking about errors, condition, strike quality, and rarity. These elements, when aligned just right, can turn a coin worth 1 cent into something worth a staggering amount of money. Let's talk about mint marks. In 1981, Lincoln cents were minted at 3 different U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; and San Francisco, S mint mark, primarily for proof coins. The coins struck in San Francisco were designed for collectors, but even among those, errors occurred that have since skyrocketed in value. One of the most desirable kinds of errors collectors seek is the doubled die. This occurs when the design is struck more than once in slightly different positions, causing visible doubling on parts of the coin. On a 1981 penny, doubling may appear in the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," or even on the date itself. This type of error, when obvious and dramatic, makes a coin far more rare and valuable. Another fascinating aspect is coin grading. If you've ever wondered why 2 identical-looking pennies can have completely different values, grading is the answer. Coins are evaluated on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolutely perfect, no flaws visible even under magnification. A 1981 penny graded at MS67 or MS68, with vibrant red color and no scratches or spots, is extremely scarce. Those that achieve this level of preservation are considered trophy coins by numismatists. But there's more. Some 1981 Lincoln cents were struck on foreign planchets, or were off-center. Others display die cracks, broad strikes, or clipped planchets. Even small details like the quality of the rim, or the strength of the strike can make a huge difference. In the world of numismatics, the tiniest distinction can mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth a fortune. Let's not forget the proof coins, those made with special care for collectors, often showing mirror-like fields and frosted details. While most were struck flawlessly, mistakes did happen. A proof coin from 1981 with a rare error or a stunning level of preservation can go for jaw-dropping prices on the open market. So what's the story behind the most valuable 1981 penny ever sold? It began, like many great discoveries, with someone carefully sorting through a collection, paying attention to what others might overlook. The coin was nearly flawless, glowing red, with a strong strike and pristine surfaces. Upon submission to a top grading company, it was given an elite grade, making it one of only a few known examples in that category. Add to that a rare double die feature, and the stage was set. When the coin hit the auction block, the excitement was undeniable. Bidders knew this wasn't just another penny. This was a museum-worthy piece of minting history. And when the final bid came in, jaws dropped. That single 1981 Lincoln 1-cent penny sold for a mind-blowing $133,000. In the end, it's a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable things in life are the ones we least expect. So the next time you're handed some change, or you spot an old penny hiding in your collection, don't brush it off. Take a moment. Look closer. You just might be holding a tiny, copper-colored treasure worth far more than you ever imagined. If you love this story and want more amazing coin discoveries and hidden gems from US history, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss a new episode. The world of coins is full of surprises, and the next great discovery could be waiting in your very own hands. Top 6. Imagine holding a coin that has traveled through 4 decades of American history. A coin so ordinary in appearance, yet so rare in potential value, that it could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket right now. We're talking about the humble yet incredibly fascinating 1982 Lincoln 1-cent penny. A coin that, on the surface, may look like every other penny you've ever seen. But look a little closer, and you might just discover one of the most valuable hidden treasures in American coinage. The year 1982 was a turning point in the history of the Lincoln cent. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter in the way pennies were made. For collectors and historians alike, 1982 isn't just another year, it's one of the most complex, transitional, and collectible years for the Lincoln penny. And for good reason. Let's rewind the clock for a moment. Up until 1982, Lincoln cents were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. These coins had a substantial feel, a warm copper tone, and a classic ring when dropped. But as inflation and metal prices began to rise in the late 70s and early 80s, it became more expensive for the US Mint to produce these copper-rich coins than they were actually worth. Something had to change. So in mid-1982, the Mint made a pivotal decision. They switched to a cheaper composition, using zinc with just a thin copper plating. It was a cost-saving move, but it created a fascinating situation for collectors. That year, the US Mint produced 7 different varieties of the Lincoln penny. Yes, 7. That includes both copper and zinc versions, large and small dates, and coins from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. This complexity is exactly what makes the 1982 Lincoln penny so exciting for collectors. It's like a mini treasure hunt. Each variation has its own unique features, and some are rarer than others. For example, distinguishing between the large date and small date versions can be tricky unless you know what to look for. The differences are subtle: the size and shape of the numbers in the date, especially the 2 and the 8, give it away. For trained eyes, these small variations can make all the difference. But even more thrilling is the weight difference between the copper and zinc pennies. A copper 1982 penny weighs about 3.11 grams, while a zinc version weighs around 2.5 grams. That's a key way to tell them apart. And if you happen to find a 1982 small date penny made from copper, especially one in excellent condition, then you're on to something truly special. Now, let's talk about mint marks. In 1982, coins were minted in both Philadelphia, which carried no mint mark, and Denver, marked with a D under the date. Certain varieties from each mint are more sought after depending on composition and die variety. But what truly gets collectors excited are error coins, mistakes made during the minting process. And 1982 was full of them. There are 1982 pennies with doubled dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, and even some transitional errors, coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. These coins, when authenticated and graded highly, can command jaw-dropping prices at auction. And it's not just the errors. Condition matters tremendously. Coins that are uncirculated, with no scratches or blemishes, graded MS65 or higher, especially with brilliant red luster, are among the most valuable. Let's not forget that 1982 was the last year the Lincoln cent carried only the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Future changes would modernize and redesign the coin, but these original issues remain cherished artifacts of classic U.S. coinage. When we hold a coin from 1982, we hold a piece of that change, a transition captured in copper and zinc. But the most incredible part of this story? One of the rarest known 1982 Lincoln cents ever discovered was not only struck from copper when it should have been zinc, but it also featured a rare small date variety, and was preserved in nearly perfect condition. When this coin was discovered, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Experts examined it, authenticated it, and confirmed it as one of the only known examples of its kind. When this rare penny went to auction, seasoned collectors and investors knew this wasn't just a 1-cent piece. This was history. This was rarity. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own a piece of a transition year that changed the very composition of U.S. coinage. The bidding war was intense, with numismatists across the country competing for the prize. And finally, this seemingly ordinary penny, minted in 1982, was sold for an astonishing $127,000. Yes, a single penny, worth $127,000. So, next time you glance at a 1982 penny, don't dismiss it as just spare change. Look at the date. Check the weight. Examine the design. You could be holding one of the most valuable and collectible pennies of the modern era. Because in the world of coins, even the smallest, simplest piece of metal can hide a story worth telling, and a fortune worth finding. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of rare coins, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more amazing coin stories, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Who knows, maybe your next treasure is already sitting in your pocket. Would you like a thumbnail caption and title to go with this video? Top 7. Have you ever found a penny and tossed it aside without a second thought? It's just 1 cent, right? But what if I told you that a simple, everyday coin from your pocket change could be worth more than a brand new luxury car? Yes, you heard that right. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent penny from the year 1984 might seem ordinary at first glance, but there's a fascinating story behind this small copper coin that could turn your 1-cent discovery into a 6-figure treasure. Let's take a journey back to the year 1984. It was a time when Ronald Reagan was president, the Cold War was still very real, and the music scene was exploding with hits from legends like Prince and Michael Jackson. Amidst all the cultural moments of that year, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing millions of Lincoln pennies, coins that most people would use without ever thinking twice. But hidden among those millions was a unique error that would later turn a few of these pennies into some of the most talked about and hunted coins in the world of numismatics. The 1984 Lincoln penny features the same classic design we've come to know and recognize. On the front, or obverse side, is the dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner. The words, "In God We Trust," appear above his head, with "Liberty" to the left and the year 1984 stamped just to the right. On the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a design crafted by Frank Gasparo, surrounded by the inscriptions, "United States of America, e pluribus unum," and 1 cent. But one batch of 1984 pennies was different. During the minting process, an error occurred, one that went unnoticed at first but later became a sensation among collectors. This was the famous doubled ear variety. Now, this isn't a myth or an illusion. The doubling on Abraham Lincoln's earlobe is clear and visible to the naked eye. It's a striking and unmistakable flaw caused by a misalignment during the die creation process, a mechanical hiccup that led to a doubled image being struck on the coin. What makes this error so desirable is its visibility. Unlike many coin errors that require magnification or deep technical analysis, the doubled ear on the 1984 Lincoln penny is obvious. You can hold the coin in your hand, tilted under the light, and see that there are two distinct earlobes on Lincoln's portrait. It's like a whisper from the minting machine saying, "Hey, I made a mistake, and now this coin is special." As news of this error spread, collectors began hunting through their change, hoping to stumble upon this rare find. It's the thrill of the chase, the idea that a valuable piece of history could be hiding in plain sight, that makes coin collecting such an exciting hobby. And the 1984 doubled ear penny quickly became one of the most sought-after varieties in the Lincoln cent series. But the excitement doesn't stop at the error itself. The condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its value. A worn, circulated coin with a doubled ear might still be worth something, but a mid-condition version, especially one that's been professionally graded as MS-65 or higher, can fetch astonishing prices. Collectors are always on the lookout for sharp details, strong luster, and zero blemishes. The rarer the error and the better the condition, the higher the value. Beyond the doubled ear, the 1984 penny can also exhibit other interesting minting anomalies, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, and planchet issues. Each of these errors adds another layer of intrigue and potential value. That's why many collectors and even casual hobbyists take the time to examine their coins closely. You never know what surprise might be hiding in your pocket. So why does a coin like this command such high prices? It's not just about rarity. It's about the story. This coin represents a moment when human error, machine precision, and historical design intersected. It's a tiny piece of art, a miniature monument, and a collector's dream all rolled into one. For many, finding a coin like this isn't just a financial windfall, it's a moment of discovery, of connection with American history and craftsmanship. Today, if you're lucky enough to come across a genuine 1984 Lincoln penny with the famous doubled ear variety in pristine condition, you might just be holding a small fortune in the palm of your hand. In one recent case, such a coin, authenticated, graded, and preserved in excellent condition, was sold at auction for a jaw-dropping price of $114,000. So next time you see a penny lying on the ground or in the bottom of your drawer, don't ignore it. Pick it up. Take a closer look. Because in the fascinating world of coins, even the humblest penny could turn out to be your golden ticket. Keep your eyes open, your pockets checked, and your curiosity alive, because the next great discovery might be just one coin away.